Have you ever noticed something strange? You can be doing fine, even doing well, and still feel like you're behind, like you're not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not interesting enough, not there yet. And what makes it worse is this. The more you improve your life, the higher the standard becomes. So you keep climbing, but you never arrive. Most people think they feel not enough because they're failing. But for many, it's the opposite. They feel not enough because they're comparing. And comparison creates an invisible race, a race with no finish line, because you're not competing with a real person. You're competing with an image, someone's highlight reel, someone's best moment, someone's edited life. And your mind does something unfair. It compares your behind the scenes to their best scene. Comparison is the fastest way to turn a good life into a disappointing one. Here's why comparison is so addictive. It promises motivation. It whispers, look, they did it. So you should too. But it never leaves you feeling satisfied, because the moment you reach one level, you notice a higher one. And then your mind moves the goalpost again. So even when you win, you don't feel like a winner. The goalpost moves because your mind is measuring your worth, not your progress. Philosophers noticed this long before social media existed. The Stoics warned that when you tie your self-worth to things outside your control, you give your peace away. Because popularity is unstable. Trends are unstable. Other people's opinions are unstable. So if your worth depends on unstable things, your emotional life becomes unstable too. When your worth depends on approval, peace becomes impossible. Comparison doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you become. Because you start living for an audience that isn't even watching. You choose what looks impressive, instead of what feels meaningful. You start building a life that photographs well, instead of a life that actually feels good to live. And slowly, you stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, what will make me look successful? That's the trap. The moment you live to be seen, you stop living to be fulfilled. And the cost isn't just stress. The cost is disconnection. Because comparison pulls you away from your real life. You stop enjoying what you have. You stop noticing what's working. You stop feeling proud of your progress. And one day, you realize something painful. You weren't unhappy because your life was bad. You were unhappy because you kept imagining someone else's life. You don't need a better life. You need a quieter mind. So what do? You don't stop comparing overnight. But you can change what you compare. Instead of comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, compare your life to who you were 1 year ago. Because that's real. That's honest. And it brings you back to something powerful. Progress. Not perfection. Your life isn't behind. It's just not someone else's. And here's the deeper truth. Comparison isn't really about other people. It's about a fear inside us that says, if I'm not ahead, I'm nothing. But life is not a scoreboard, and your value isn't a ranking. Yet modern life trains us to think in numbers, followers, income, status, likes, views. And when you're surrounded by metrics, you start measuring yourself like a product, not a human being. A measured life becomes a pressured life. Comparison feels real because it uses your imagination against you. You don't just see someone else's success. You imagine what their life must feel like. You imagine their confidence, their freedom, their happiness. But you're not comparing your reality to their reality. You're comparing your reality to a fantasy your mind created. And fantasies are always unfair, because fantasies don't include their doubts, their bad days, their loneliness, their fear, their sacrifices. So you end up losing a fight against a story. Comparison is pain created by imagination. Here's one of the most tragic effects of comparison. It steals the present moment, because you can be living your life and not actually feeling it. You can be eating a good meal while thinking about someone else's vacation. You can be building something meaningful while thinking about someone else's results. You can be improving while thinking about someone else's pace. And the present becomes invisible, not because it's empty, but because your attention is elsewhere. If your attention is always elsewhere, your life will feel like it's never happening. A powerful question changes everything. What would enough look like for you? Not for society, not for the internet, not for the people watching, for you. Because most people never define enough. They just keep chasing more. More money, more validation, more proof. But more is a hunger that never ends. The moment you feed it, it grows. So the real freedom is not in getting more. It's in deciding, I have enough. Not because you stopped growing, but because you stopped measuring your worth by growth. Enough is not a number. It's a decision. Here's a simple shift you can practice. Instead of asking, am I doing better than them? Ask, am I doing better than yesterday? Because that question brings you back to reality. It turns life into a relationship with yourself, not a competition with strangers. And when you stop competing, you start noticing something surprising. You can respect other people's success without using it as evidence against yourself. You can admire without collapsing. You can learn without feeling behind. Admire without comparing. Learn without shrinking. So if you felt behind, if you felt like you're not enough, it doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you've been staring at the wrong measuring stick. You were never designed to be compared to millions of people. You were designed to be yourself, to grow at your pace, to build a life that feels true, even if nobody claps for it. Because the goal isn't to look like you're winning. The goal is to feel like you're living. A peaceful life starts the moment you stop trying to prove your worth.